So I thought, you know what? I might as well fire up the camera and do a video because it's been a couple months. What's going on, everyone? It's Mike with this old hot rod, and it has been a while. What's new with you? Been a couple months. Last time I did a video, I was working on that. And now you can see it's behind me. It's on 4 wheels. And if you follow me on social media, Instagram and Facebook, you know that I've actually been driving the car. I'm gonna start kind of where I left off. Where I left off was sporadic videos over the winter when I got back onto the Coupe. Not gonna get too far into detail. People have been asking and wondering, am I coming back to YouTube? Am I done with YouTube? Gonna do any more videos? And I know in the past I have mentioned that my parents are getting older, my mom's getting older. Pretty close to my mom, I kind of always have been. I've kind of been her go-to a lot of times growing up and whatever. So my sister, I have a twin sister, and myself and my brother who lives next door. We've been just taking care of my mom because she's diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I think anybody and everybody knows the progression of that horrible disease. In response to a lot of people in the past saying, I hope your mom gets better, I hope she feels better. Unfortunately, that's not the situation. So it's just unfortunately just going to keep progressing the direction it's progressing, and obviously that's not getting better. That means more hands-on time, more doctor's appointments, more just everything in regards to being dependent on myself, my sister, my father, and people that are around her. So that is part of the reason why I really just haven't not only had the time, just the mental capacity to do YouTube, or even not even just YouTube, just videos in general, just any video. But I still obviously wanted to keep pursuing my hobby and my passion, working on these cars, building these old cars. And I wanted to get this Coupe up to Northeast Vintage Drags, which is a drag race that we put on, Tornadoes Car Club. Primarily it's me and Pete Flavin, as most people know. We're kind of the boots on the ground guys. I needed to focus on the car in order to get it to the event. I put a lot on myself this year with the event. I kind of did a lot of the hands-on stuff. Was that obviously had his dragster at the event this year, so if anybody was there, you saw him driving the Bannister Brothers dragster, which was incredible. Pete had said to me, listen, we're not going to kill ourselves this year, we're going to have fun. It's really difficult for me to shut it off. You put so much time, energy, effort, thought, whatever, into an event, it's hard to just shut it off and just have a good time at the event, because everybody's coming to you because you're the guys that putting on the event. I want to make sure that Pete was able to really enjoy the event this year. So that's separate from the car, but so that's the event in itself. It was a lot of work. And then the Coupe. In order to get the Coupe to the event, I just had to dedicate every spare minute that I had to work on the car. I had to dedicate it to working on the car. And what I realized in that process was I had to go backwards quite a ways, and it really bothered me. The reason it bothered me was I realized in that process that during the time I was building the Coupe up in my top garage, I was so focused on producing the content, starting something, finishing something, producing, editing the video, and putting the video out. I don't want to say I cut corners, because I don't think I cut corners. I just didn't do things to the best of my ability. And if there's ever a car that I'm ever going to own that deserves my utmost attention and focus to details and whatnot, it's this thing behind me. And I realized that I kind of lost sight of that. I lost sight of focusing on working on the car and making sure that all of my measurements were correct and everything was going to work out the way I wanted it to. And unfortunately, I made a few errors early on that caused a boatload of work. And again, like I just said, so in order for me to move forwards with the coupe, I ended up having to go way backwards, and it really bothered me. So that, on top of the race, on top of my mother, on top of life, on top of work, and, you know, for myself and everything else, there was no time, there's no time to video and then edit. I started this channel in 2020 when I bought this car. A lot of you guys found me, discovered my channel because of this car. I put like three and a half, probably about 3 solid years into the channel, and it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work doing 2 videos a week. Early on, I was doing 3 videos a week. I had a lot of support from people close to me, namely Allie. But that support started to dwindle because I started to make YouTube my priority and YouTube my focus, and the people watching the videos, you guys were my priority. And I kind of lost focus on my priorities. And my kids said, hey, you got to take a step back. I did for a little while, and I kicked it back up again. You know, there's always a reason. I got a race, I got this, I got that. One more thing, one more car, but, you know, something had to give. And I couldn't stop being a dad. I couldn't stop being a boyfriend. I couldn't stop working. So really, the main thing in my control that I could stop was doing the videos and editing videos. And even though I enjoyed it, it was really difficult to swallow that pill at first. But the longer it went on, the easier it got not doing videos. And then you get to the point where I think like, oh, I should go do a video. I should set the camera, the tripod up and do a video. I just didn't have it in me. And just like, there was just no drive. It was almost to the point where it's not fun anymore. Because at first it was fun. Again, that was kind of a tough pill to swallow. So here we are. It's the week of July 4th. I took the week off because I knew we had a lot of doctor's appointments this week. And 4th of July, Allie's out of town. So I thought, you know what? I might as well fire up the camera and do a video. Because it's been a couple months. Someone recently commented, hey, what's up? No updated videos for the dragsters and blah, blah, blah. I actually do have one. And I'm working on it slowly. Again, like I just haven't had a lot of time and haven't had a lot of drive. I'm gonna get that one out, and not for me. That's gonna be for Pete Flavin, the guy who bought the dragsters. Him and I went up to Dave Jackson's house. He was one of the guys who built the dragster back in the 50s, and a ton of history on the car, tons of photos, and all the stories that he told us. I have it all on video. We were there for a couple hours. That'll be coming up hopefully pretty soon. I also have the video footage of the race. Like I had said a few minutes ago, when it came to the race, I am all hands on deck. And I only got 2 of them. So that means that I don't have extra hands to do videos while the event is going on because I'm being pulled in a lot of directions. So unfortunately, I do have some footage, but unfortunately I don't have as much as I really wanted to have this year. I had said to Pete, I want to be able to do photos and videos and fly my drone, and I did some of that, but it's kind of minimal. So it's a little disappointing to myself that I don't have as much video and photos that I wanted to have, but I do have some, and I am going to post it up, and some of it's pretty good. A lot of guys have already seen some videos on YouTube from the race. There were other YouTubers up there. So thank you to those guys who took the time to come up and do some videos and edit the videos and put them up online for people to enjoy the race, because like I said, it's been a couple months and I haven't even done it. A month and a half now. So walk around, I got a lot of things that are kind of going on. Driving the 34, got about 100 miles on it now, and a couple little things that I've had to tweak and work on, but for the most part it is just a beast. So I'll fire it up. Maybe we'll do a quick little video in the car, on the car, but I got to move some things around. And one of the things I need to do is I got my gray coupe. Turn the camera. The one on the top of the lift. Hold on. Come on. that one up there. That one. So that's my 30 Coupe. That's a Model A, 1930 Model A Ford. It's got a small block Chevy in it. Well, let's go. Let's walk around. So this car, let's walk around. So it's a 1930 Ford Model A Coupe. It has a small block Chevy in it. It is a true Corvette motor. It's from a 1975 Corvette. The reason why I say that and can confirm it is because it was the motor, the transmission, and the rear axle assembly. The transmission that's in it now is no longer from the Corvette, but the rear axle still is, and this all came from the same car. So you can see here, these dog bone links here. This is the parallel leaf rear spring here, it goes across. So it has independent rear suspension. You can see the drive shafts. That's the center section up in here. Kind of difficult to see up under the car, but it is on the lift, so it makes it much easier to see, obviously. So you can see the transmission and the bell housing and the oil pan. So what the drivetrain is, it's a 1975 small block Chevrolet. It has an early 70s General Motors aluminum Super T10 that's out of a big block Chevelle, according to the numbers. I think it was a 70 or 71. It has a YN 4.2 intake. It's got Stromberg 97s on it. It's got block hugger long tube headers, Cal Custom valve covers. It's got an original Vertex magneto, a chopped 32 grill shell, original, hand-built wheels front and rear. It's got a custom frame. It's Z'd 4 inches in the front, 12 inches in the rear. Sits about 3 inches off the ground, 2.5, 3 inches, I think, at about the lowest point. It's chopped 4 inches and it's channeled 4 inches. It's got suicide doors. The wheels and tires, like I said, they're 15 inch. The front tires are 560s, the rears are 820s. It's about the same size as like a 750-16, but it's a 15 inch. All four are Firestone white walls. Hand-built exhaust. Glass packs on it from back in the day. Has an auxiliary radiator back here. The fan is switched on and off on the dashboard from an electric fan. That radiator's got a brand new core in it from main radiator. It's from an MG. Master cylinders back here. The power booster for the brakes is from early Boss Ford Mustang. So it's a pretty unique car. Copper tubing is for the coolant to flow back and forth from the radiator in the back of the car. Got cycle fenders, 35 Ford. Spare tire cover. Custom paint from me. So it's a really cool car. I can't reach the door. It's a little too far away, but I can't really open the door because it's a little too high up. If you guys were to go and search 1930 Ford Model A Hot Rod, or even just do a search on my videos, you'll find the car. And I've done a couple of walk-arounds and descriptions of the car. So that car is for sale. That's why I was showing you guys that. That car is for sale. I submitted it to Bring a Trailer about 3 weeks ago. A little bit of a process to get the car up and live on the site in an auction. So I'm still waiting for that to happen. Sale, I did post it on Facebook. When you submit it to Bring a Trailer, they ask you to remove any for sale ads that you may have out there on social media and whatnot. So I did that according to, their rules or whatever. I'm hoping that sells. I don't have to sell the car, but I don't really foresee myself driving that car a whole lot now that I have the 34 and also the car that's underneath it, the 27 Roadster. I drive that thing all the time. That's kind of like my go-to. That's my Honda Civic of my hot rods. You hop in, you turn the key, hit the button, it fires up, and you just go. You just always know it's going to get you where you're going and always get you home. I'm going to hang on to that, and I'm going to hang on to the 34, and I'm going to let the 30 Coupe go. So if anybody's interested, reach out, let me know. I would love to move it along. And now the 34. Let's go over here. All right, the 1934 Ford Coupe. What started it all? This old hot rod. It runs, it drives, it stops, it steers. Kind of checks off all the major boxes, you know. But again, I said a few minutes ago, this car's a handful. It's a 371 Oldsmobile, so it's a J2R motor is what they were. So it's the NASCAR motor. The R stands for racing. It originally comes from the factory with the options from the factory, with the cam that's in it from Oldsmobile, with the adjustable 1.5 rockers. And I believe they're 1.5. They could have been 1.6. I'm pretty sure they're 1.5. And with the displacement and the thickness of the head gasket with the compression and all that other stuff. It's 10.5 to 1 compression. 371. This has been bored 60 over. 40 over or 60 over? I think 40 over. I forget. I think it's 40 over. It ends up being a 385 is basically what the car is right now. It's got a 535, 536 lift cam. I think it's 270 duration. 110 lobe separation, I believe, is what the specs are. It's solid lifter cam. It's got Dragstar. Oh no, it's an Offenhauser 6.2 log intake with 697 big logos. Yeah, you know what I mean? Basically like stock cranks, stock rods, things like that. The transmission is a 1964 Ford Fairlane 4-speed. It's a close ratio 4-speed. And that came out of a 64 Fairlane 390 4-speed. So that's what that transmission was for that specific car, that specific year. The reason why I know that is because on this particular transmission, it was a 1-year only model, because the drive shaft, the speedometer gear comes off the tail shaft on the driver's side, and it's the only one that does that. I know that because I paid $65 for the gear to drive the speedometer, which is ridiculous. And the rear axle is a GM 8.2 inch 55P. That is the model number, and it is from 1955 to 1964. That's what the rear axle is. The center section is out of a 1962 Impala. It's got 411s in it, and I didn't know that until I started driving it. So, kind of changes things, because I thought I was going to have the stock gears in the rear, in the center section, in the third member, and what the stock gear ratio that's stamped into the third member is 336. That's not the case. I wish it was, but it's not the case. It's got 411s in it. So I just the other day ordered a set of 308s, because it's not a race car. I build my cars to drive them, and I want to be able to drive them at cruising speeds, whether that's third gear around town or fourth gear on the highway, you know, cruising at 70, 75 miles an hour. I want to be able to do that because I want to drive the car. And I cannot drive the car in fourth gear 50 miles an hour at 2,500 RPMs, because that's currently what I'm doing. And it just makes me nervous, to be honest with you. I know the car can handle it. I just don't like it. So I've had a few issues with battery charging. If you guys were at the race, you saw that. The car pretty much sat for the entire weekend. I couldn't get the car to start because the battery was dead. The generator wouldn't charge. We ended up tearing it all down, cleaned everything, put it back together, and we fixed it. So that was a little bit of a process. It was the very last thing we tried. We did, polarize the regulator and switched out regulators. I think that's the fourth regulator. I have a feeling all the other ones prior to this fourth one are all good, because the generator just wasn't producing. Check that off the list. Next big issue was carburation. I had said earlier in the video, I put a lot on my plate with my mom, with work, with life, with the car, with the race. With that being said, I built 5 of the carburetors perfectly. The 6th carburetor, I forgot to put the power valve in it, and I forgot to put the jets in it. The car would not run for shit, especially at the drag race. I overlooked it somehow. I don't know. I lost track of where I was, and I guess I must have, you know, finished building the carburetor and just didn't check because, again, no jets, no power valve. It ran. It didn't run good, but it ran. The car now runs beautifully. I pulled the plugs out the other day after I put, like I said, about 100 miles on the car. The plugs are perfect, and the tune seems pretty good. It doesn't choke you out in the car. People behind me aren't getting choked out. Their eyes aren't burning. I had the coil die. I bought a brand new Petronics coil, Flamethrower 3. No good. Died. Shit out on me at the gas station. I'll get that fixed. I was able to drive the car home. So I've driven it now 3 times. Like I said, since then I've put about 100 miles on the car. That being said, I'm gonna fire this thing up for you guys because I'm sure you're sick of me talking. Simple as that. Did I get lucky? I don't know, maybe. A lot of time was put into this car in a short amount of time. A lot of hours in a short amount of time. I wanted to shut it off because it was going to get real fumey in here. I'm really happy with the car. It's fast. Especially the big motor with 411s in it, or 410s, whatever they are. I think they're 411s. I took Allie for a ride a couple days ago. We had a thunderstorm roll through here at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It was about 7:30. She said, I want to go for a ride. She had just gotten home from a girl's trip to Maine on Sunday. And I said, yeah, let's go for a ride. The road should be pretty dry by now. Just first, second, fine, you know, in third gear. And I just kind of had my foot in it, just going down the road. And this thing hit a patch of wet pavement, and it just went whoop sideways. I was like, whoa, holy smoke. It was like white knuckles the whole way because the roads were a little wet. But it's fun and it's fast. It's just a different type of fast. It's not small block Chevrolet fast. It's like real torquey and throaty, and it's different, but it's cool. And I'm very proud of myself, what I did, what I accomplished in a short amount of time. Pete Flavin came down and helped me do the brakes. He helped me break the motor in. He was here to help me do that, kind of to be my eyes outside of the car, under the car, checking for leaks and whatnot. My friend Joe, who helped me endlessly with the seat, dropping the steering arms, with some of the wiring, which I kind of struggled with. I ended up figuring it out. It wasn't actually me, it was something else that was wrong with some things. And he helped me weld up the exhaust. He helped me, like I said, with the seat. He helped me turn some things backwards that I had done wrong, which things weren't adding up measurements wise. He helped me build the motor. That's the biggest thing. He helped me build the motor. I would not have got this car done if it wasn't for Joe. So I'm very, very appreciative of his help, his friendship, his knowledge, just everything. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, you know. So the car is a 34 Ford. You guys know that. Let's do a quick walk around this one. All right, so some of you guys like it. Some of you guys don't. Oh, we got a dragonfly. So this is the grill shell that was on the car back in the 60s. I was fortunate enough that the top half of it came with the car when I bought it. Went picking back at Brad and Kathy's house, and we found this piece down here. You can see the line from here down. I found this piece in another garage. And then this piece and this piece, these 4 inches, were welded onto another grill shell that had a top. Those 2 turquoise pieces and then another top. Flipped over upside down and welded onto the bottom to make a grill shell out of it. So that was kind of cool. So I ended up buying that off of Brad just so I could have these two pieces so I could put that grill shell back together. So that's the original grill shell, including the insert that came with this car originally back in the day when Brad bought it. So again, the motor, 371 Oldsmobile punched out, it's about 385. I ended up having the starter completely rebuilt, F100 steering box, Hurst mounts, old chrome Hurst mounts. You can see those down there. Those came with the car also. These are the NASCAR style dimpled valve covers that came on the J2R engines. I believe these are early moon, I could be wrong, or Stellings breathers. There's 1.6 ratio Thomas or Gotha. No, I'm sorry, they're not. They're not. What are they? McGurk. The McGurk. Stroke of McGurk. So the rocker assembly are 1.6 ratio McGurk adjustable rockers. I ended up buying this 6-port fuel log off of Brad. I made my own oil filler tube out of a piece of aluminum tubing. Cut that down on the lathe. 59 to 62 Corvette generator that someone had chromed back in the day. Painted the body. You can see that's got my tack drive on the back. So that's the reducer for the tack drive. So it's a 1 to 2 reducer. Basically, it's a 0.500. So like I said, Offenhauser intake. It's got a beautiful Mallory dual point distributor that I ended up rebuilding it. Split wishbones. It's got an original 32 big beam front axle, 46 to 48 brakes, old chrome pulleys, old chrome fan. We ended up making this stay rod setup, Joe and I did. Here's the seat. Nothing really fancy with the doors. They're just bare doors at this point. So that's the seat. My friend Joe stitched this up for me. I obviously did all the sheet metal work in here. I rebuilt what I had to on the dash. Joe helped me lay out the gauges, cut the gauges up. Dawn Ferrin did the striping for me. That's my mom. Jackie L. An original glove box with the original glove box liner. That's the real deal. So pretty happy to have that. 55, 56 Mercury Monterey steering wheel. Got my glass shift ball rather. F1 style pedals. Sorry, I ended up making the car too big for myself, so if you look close, I ended up having to make extensions, 2-inch extensions on those pedal pads so I could push the clutch down all the way. Got windshield crank here, open the windshield, and you got the vent here to open the front vent. That's the AC. I ended up having to make a lot of changes in there for the seat. From the factory, they come with suicide doors. The exhaust is 2.5-inch stainless with 2.5-inch porter mufflers that I wrapped with a header wrap. It has a remote oil filter, which you can see in there, all the lines and everything that run all the way back under the floor pans. It's got old original standard motor company products wire. I had a big spool of it that I bought off of an older gentleman years ago, and I hung on to it for situations like this. 750/16 rears, 550/16 fronts, early accessory caps. They're like a Lions cap, 16-inch. I put the Nerf bar on it. I think you guys saw that. F100 gas tank. Put the matting in there and whatnot just to start that process, you know. All in all, for the most part, like I said, it's a pretty simple, basic little hot rod. This is the 55 to 64 Chevy rear. I did end up switching out the rear suspension from the coil spring setup to a quarter elliptical, which you can see here. When I move some stuff around, I'm gonna put this car up on the lift and I'll be able to get underneath the car because I do have an oil leak and I'm not exactly sure where it's coming from. It's in the bell housing area, so I don't know if it's a plug. I don't know if it's the rope seal that we used, the rear main seal. We used a rope seal for the rear main seal. I just ordered a modern style rear main seal, 2-piece rear main seal for the motor. So that should be here sometime this week. My friend Joe is coming over, different Joe. I call this Joe TTJ, so timing tag Joe. So TTJ is coming over and he needs some help on his Model 8 Coupe. He's got a cool little banger powered Model 8 Coupe and it's riding really like rough. So I told him we'll do some work on the rear spring, get rid of some leaves and whatnot, and we'll adjust the ride height and get it just to ride better because it's kind of riding a bit rough. I need to move some stuff around. That being said, this coupe, either before or after Joe, either before Joe gets here, I might get it up on the lift, but if not, it'll be after. I need to pull the starter down, the lower bell housing off, see if I can shine a light up in there, maybe run to Harbor Freight and get one of those scopes or something and see if I can figure out exactly where this oil leak is coming from, so I can address it, because I don't want to wipe out the clutch. It's got a ridiculously strong, hard to push Schaefer racing clutch in it. That's old original NOS speed equipment stuff, and I don't want to jeopardize it. So I want to make sure that I get to the bottom of that oil leak. So that's going to be coming up within the next week. Like I said, it's a 34 coupe. It's chopped 4 inches. It's channeled 6 inches. 371 Oldsmobile with a 4-speed and 411s. It is extremely loud. You always wear earplugs. It runs at 175 degrees. It's got 25 pounds of oil pressure-ish. I know a lot of these older motors, they didn't really have high oil pressure. I don't know if they make a high volume oil pump. I'd have to check like Ross Racing or one of those companies and see if anybody produces one. If they do, I may end up buying one, but we pulled the valve covers off after I did the break-in, checked all the lash. Everything was on point, nothing moved, nothing adjusted itself. All the rockers looked good, nothing was blue, nothing didn't appear that it wasn't being oiled or anything like that. And again, I'm not driving the car hard. I'm just kind of taking, like I said, I got about 100 miles on it. It's fun, it's fast, it's loud, and I'm just kind of taking my time with it. So I'm gonna keep driving it, keep enjoying it, and cross my fingers and hope everything goes good. I'm looking forward to getting those 308s in the rear axle so I can kind of just do some driving, do some actual driving this year and go to some shows. I'd like to do the Fallout this year and a couple of the other shows down in Connecticut that the guys in the Others Car Club put on. They support me and Pete and the guys in the club with our events, and I want to be able to do the same for them and support those events. So looking forward to this fall and putting some miles on the car. It's been a little bit of a video. I know there's a lot of talking. I apologize for that, but I want to do a quick update, and we'll be getting out again on Friday. I'm going to see if I can bring a GoPro and do some videos of the coupe. I have a couple short little videos from Joe. He was following me the other day in his 32 Roadster. So I'll put that in the video towards the end. And gonna have some upcoming videos, like I said, driving the coupe and just enjoying it, getting out and doing my thing with it. As soon as I get that oil leak figured out, and hopefully get those 308 gears in the rear axle. So thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. Sorry for my hiatus, if you want to call it that. I'm sure everybody understands my situation, and for those that do, thank you. For those that have been in my situation, I feel your pain, and now it's my turn. So it's just part of life. So keep an eye out for upcoming video on this. 30 coupes going for sale on Bring a Trailer. I'll let everybody know on social media when that auction goes live. Just cash in your pennies, dig through the couch. Just your kids don't need to go to college. Take the college fund. Someone buy this car. It's a fun little car. It's fast. It's loud. It's cool. It's an eye turner. It's a cool little hot rod, and it should make somebody a nice little car. So if anybody's interested, you should definitely buy it. Thanks everyone. I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye. Sayonara. Hasta luego. I'll be back. What else? That's it.